How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the movie Castle, and today we're going to be talking about Silent Night, Deadly Night 5, The Toy Maker. This is from 1991, so a year after the last sequel. This DVD pack I have here has all the direct-to-video movies in it, parts 3 through 5, and they all came out a year after one another. 89, 90, and 91. So they were cranking these things out at a pretty good and fast pace. And even though Part 3 really didn't work, Parts 4 and 5 actually got pretty good and they were really fun. And I wish they made more of them, you know? It seemed like they had something going, but then stopped after only 2 movies, which kind of does suck. This time around, we're directed by Martin Kitrosser, and we star Jane Higginson. Part 4's director, Brian Yuzna, sticks around as a producer for this movie, and him and the director actually wrote the script, so it's really cool to see people coming over. Another person that came over from Part 4 is the special effects artist, Screaming Mad George. Last time around, they had to make a bunch of weird worms and bugs and crazy stuff like that. This time around, they're having him make killer toys. And this is pretty cool. This movie is about an evil toy maker that is making killer toys that he's sending to this kid, and the kid has to survive them, and the killer toys are going after all these people. It's really fun and over the top and crazy. It feels like a full moon movie. I classify this as one of those I can't believe it's not full moon movies. A bunch of killer toys attacking on Christmas. It's pretty cool. Now that being said, it's not quite as insane and over the top as Part 4. There is a lot of insanity, especially when you find out what happens at the end. But it's not quite as insane. And it's not quite as hard R as Part 4. Part 4 is a pretty hard R. This is a little bit back, but it's still got some good stuff in it. But yeah, this has tons of special effects, tons of weird, crazy toys, and even though it's not as insane as Part 4, I really don't want to downplay it. There are some cool moments of insanity in this, and a big thing that this one does that the last few didn't, this is an actual Christmas movie. Part 2, the original portion of it, a little bit Christmas, really not till the finale. Part 3, it barely comes up. Part 4, it barely comes up. But this movie, Christmas is a major part of the plot. We actually get a evil Santa coming into this movie as well. It's really good for it to be Christmas again. It's really good to have a bad guy dress up like Santa Claus. And yeah, I really like that we brought Christmas back into Silent Night, Deadly Night. You know, that was really good, and it is a good step in the right direction. Let's go ahead and talk a bit about the plot. I'm not going to be doing any major spoilers, but I do want to say my piece on a few of the plot points and make sure you guys have a basic understanding as to what this movie's about. We open up with this kid. It's the middle of the night and he hears something at the door, so he sneaks down and he opens a present. It's this present some strangers left on the door, and it says, "Don't open till Christmas," but he's a kid, he's going to ignore that. And he's opening it up and it makes a lot of noise, and that causes his father to come down and yell at him. And the father goes, "What are you doing? Don't you know not to open the door in the middle of the night?" And the dad's being mean, but he's still right. You can't have your kids opening the door at night. There could be dangerous stuff, which there is. He sends the kid up. The kid stops halfway on the stairs to look and see what his father's doing, and the father finishes unwrapping the box to see what's inside of it, and it's this little ball, and a little head pops up, and you can see it's painted to look like Santa Claus. He looks at it, and for some reason adults in this movie find the toys just highly amusing, but whatever. He looks at it and watches the head spin around and laughs at it, when all of a sudden arms pop out, grab and, like, reach around this guy's face. and now it's stuck on him like a facehugger from the Alien movies. And he trips and stumbles around and eventually falls head first into a fireplace poker and dies. Now the kid sees this and he's definitely going to be traumatized. We cut to a little bit later. It's still the Christmas season. Christmas hasn't passed yet, but we are a lot closer to the day of. And the kid has been silent ever since this event. He's living with his mom, but not saying anything, and the mom has to figure out, what do I do? How do I help my kid cope? And the thing is, they think the dad just tripped. The arms on the Santa retracted, and they saw he had one of the toys laying nearby, but didn't think it had anything to do with the killing, so they actually put it back in his room, and now he's afraid. He sleeps in his mom's bed with her because he doesn't want to go in the room because there's an evil killer toy there. The mom tries to cheer him up and brings him to Petto's Toys, run by Joe Petto. Now, I have to be careful how to pronounce that because it's P-E-T-T-O. T-T, not D-O. P-E-T-T-O. Sadly, it can be quite easy to say Petto, and that's completely different. This is Petto. Joe Petto is obviously a pun on Geppetto, the toy maker from the Pinocchio franchise, and he has this toy shop with his kid, and his kid's name is Pino. If we get the Joe Petto being Geppetto, it's quite obvious that Pino is short for Pinocchio. So we get these two in the toy store. The kid walks in, and the mom's trying to give him a special Christmas toy, and the toy shop owner is really nice. He's actually played by Mickey Rooney, and he's showing him all the toys, and like, hey, do you want this one? It's a dog that sticks its tongue out, but he's way too scared. He actually saw a TV commercial for the thing that killed his father coming from this toy shop, so he doesn't want any of the toys from here, and they soon leave. And as soon as the kid and the mom leave, you see that Joe has a dark side. He's not always just a nice old man. As soon as he leaves, he snaps at his son, and you see his son is actually living in the cellar of the toy store. So it's a pretty weird and messed up situation, but it's one where everybody sees the nice old man, but it turns out he has a secret dark side. He can be drunk and angry, but nobody knows this, you know? You also do get another character, a mysterious drifter, an army vet, and he is working as a Santa Claus to make ends meet, but he's also going to Joe's store and buying a lot of his toys and taking them back to his hotel room and opening them up and studying them. So he is some sort of mysterious hunter character, and of course we'll find out why he's wanting to do this. And it's actually an interesting revelation. You know, I won't spoil the revelations or anything, but you do actually get more with who this guy is and what he's trying to do than I thought you would. So I thought that was a pretty interesting thing. In addition to finding out more about him, you actually find out a very interesting revelation with Joe at the toy store. Because that is one of those things when I was first watching this movie, I'm like, what does Joe want to keep sending evil toys to this random kid? You know, I thought his motivation was a little weird and weak, and I won't spoil what it is, but I will say that when you find out what's been really going on in this movie, it actually does make a whole lot more sense, and I am glad that there was a story behind it. I was really worried they were going to be like, he's just going after him because fun toys, who cares? But there is a really interesting and very strange story to be told here. And yeah, it does actually amount to something. Now, there are a couple more characters in this movie and some really interesting additions. The mom in this movie has a friend, and the friend is actually Kim from Part 4. Kim has apparently adopted Lonnie, and these two are in the movie as just side characters, as just friends. And I thought that was really interesting, you know, the idea that they're just living a normal, happy life after the events of Part 4. They do reference, like, oh, strange things have happened to me in the past. But I really like that concept because usually in movies, whenever we see another character again, it's usually big and with a bunch of build-up, and it's like the story's taken over their lives. But I really like here where it's like, yeah, part 4 is over, I adopted Lonnie, and now I'm here, you know? So I did like seeing them live normal, happy lives, and I liked the connection to the last movie. But those two aren't the only characters to show up. Ricky's back. I don't know how. It seemed like he died at the end of the last one, but then again, if you subscribe to the theory that this is the same Ricky from all the movies, he's almost died before, you know. He almost died at the end of part 2, he almost died at the end of part 3, so even though it really looked like he died in 4, yeah, Ricky comes back. He actually came back, he's still the same actor, he's still Clint Howard, so good for Ricky for not turning into another person again, you know. I really feel that Ricky, when you look back all the way to part 1 till now, again, if this is the same Ricky, he's lived a really interesting and crazy life. A really interesting character. We actually get him, he's just in one scene, he's playing a mall Santa. And that's really interesting. That's the profession that his older brother took that would kick off this crazy series of events. So hey, Clint Howard's back as a mall Santa. That's interesting. But there's other parts that reference part 4 as well. For whatever reason, the kid is watching the TV, and he's actually watching part 4 on TV, even though there are characters from part 4 in his real life right now. This is part of this weird long-running Easter egg that the franchise has. In this movie, he's watching part 4 on TV, but he's not just watching part 4, he's watching the scene in part 4 where Clint Howard is watching part 3 on the TV. So he's watching a movie of someone watching a movie of someone watching a movie that are all in the same franchise. This Easter egg's gotten big and weird and out of control. I thought it was weird when they watched part 1 and part 2 at the movie theater, but whatever, this is just spinning out. Also, one more thing, one of the killer toys looks like a toy version of the larva from part 4 as well. So that's fun, you know, it's like, hey, the larva's back, this time it's a toy. Screaming Mad George does a lot of crazy toys in this one, and they're really, really fun, you know. There's a crawling hand, the larva, the ball that's a Santa Claus, little soldiers that actually shoot, lots of cool stuff. Oh yeah, the rocket-powered roller skates, can't forget about those. So yeah, big over-the-top crazy movie, lots and lots of really fun stuff. It doesn't reach the pure insanity of part 4, but it's still really, really fun. And I definitely recommend it if you guys are fans of full moon movies or killer toy movies or just Christmas horror in general. There's a lot to like in this one, and since it is anthology, you can go ahead and skip straight to this one if you want. Overall, I definitely recommend it. They seemed like, when they started this anthology in part 4, that they were really kicking it, you know? There was... Part 4 was a cultist movie, this is a Killer Toys movie. They have connections between the movies, but still stand on their own, and they each one went in their own different and unique way, and I could have watched so many more of these. The idea of a Christmas horror anthology that would go in wildly different routes, it was really starting to show promise, and then this one wound up being the last one. They could have done at least a couple more, you know, but whatever. We at least got 2 really good films, so hey, there's that. This would be the last one until they made the remake, simply titled Silent Night, which I've already covered on this channel, and that one was fun enough, but not near as good as the first. To everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching, and to everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. If you guys want to see more, you can click there and see more. This should actually be my Silent Night, Deadly Night playlist, where you can find my reviews for every other film in the series. I've covered the first 4, and I've already covered the remake. So if you want to see me talk about the franchise, I've talked about every single one. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Silent Night, Deadly Night playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.